Buenos ding dong diddly dias, everybody, and welcome back to Disney News Channel. I just got done seeing Goat, and honestly, I just thought this movie was pretty bad to average at best. Even if there was one part that they did flawlessly. Yes, it's the animation, though we all know it because it's from Sony. Going in, my expectations were this would be nothing more than a fun little sports comedy appetizer to tide us over before Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out next year. However, the more I thought about this movie after I got home, the more I didn't like it. However, there was still one scene in this movie that made me cry and made this movie passable, which we will talk about in a minute when we talk about the characters. The story is superficial, as we don't really get to learn anything meaningful about this world or the characters that live in it. Stealing every sports cliche from Rocky to Rudy, which interestingly enough is not a movie about manners. Instead of twisting them or using them to make a bigger point, they play them straight. Will is accepted onto the team way too quickly and easily with no conflict, making his role less dissolved. Because of this, the movie has no originality, making the story average, as it technically has all the parts, but does not make it themselves. The opening is actually really good and does an amazing job setting up one of the most wholesome relationships that will make me cry later on. Okay, now remember when I said that this scene made me cry? Well, guess what? We are finally here. This is it. The scene where Will tells Jet how his mom died and how much she believed in him. Unfortunately, after this beautiful scene, Will's mom becomes pretty much irrelevant as the film shifts its focus to the Will and Jet relationship. This is why I feel this movie should not have been a sports movie, because they always need to focus on the main character making the team. It's like the creators had this idea for a story about grief and believing in yourself, and then the studio mandated that they turn it into a sports movie. Part of the reason why this movie got worse, the more I thought about it, is because I remembered the Sony movie that came right before, K-Pop Demon Hunters. Another movie where nothing happens and all the characters have simple, less thought out arcs. Also, just like Goat, the main character gets all the development, while the other two are pushed aside. I'm not worried too much yet. I just hope that this does not become one of Sony's bad habits. Lucky for us, Goat has some truly outstanding animation that we will talk about as soon as we are finished with the last character. Throughout the movie, Florence reminded me of Rebecca from Ted Lasso, but more in a funny way, up until the end where she was revealed as the villain. Rebecca was also a twist villain, but they also stated upfront her motivations of getting back at Rupert. This also makes sense why she would hire Ted to be the new coach, whereas with Florence was revealed, I asked, why did you hire him if you just wanted to sell the team? This is another example of why this movie should not have been a sports movie, because it forces characters into roles they are not meant to play. I won't mention the rest of the characters, since they're all pretty much nothing, and are just sort of background characters for the arena scenes. As much as I want to say this movie belongs in the trash, the beautiful animation lures me in with its siren call. There are just so many cool and creative ideas. But by far the most creative are the arena scenes. Each one takes full advantage of its environment, whether that's an ice arena or a fire arena. This ain't your grandma's court. This is kid court. No rules, Thunderdome style. There's just something about this animation that just pops. So filled with color. However, can we really praise Sony for having beautiful animation when that's what they've done amazingly for so long? For Sony to really take the next step, they need to focus more on storytelling, telling bigger, bolder stories that no one has even thought of telling classic stories in new and exciting ways, into reality itself. Weeks there. And yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that animation. So let's just call it here. All in all, I think this movie is pretty bad to average. Not because of what it does, but because of what it doesn't do.